Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we are looking at yet another article um, about the contributions or the investments that are happening in the US right now into the skilled trades. Um, Now, this article is about a month old, though. But I think still it's relevant because I haven't seen anything super new since then. I think from what I've read that BlackRock is going to be rolling out a few different phases. I'm just going to call them phases to get this investment going. And we already talked about Lowe's. I wouldn't put it behind me if Home Depot does the same thing or will be doing something similar, and other investors out there. I think seeing an investment into the skilled trades, especially since there is a shortage. Before I get into this, just some commentary I'm seeing around. Uh, some of the trades that they're looking to invest in is plumbing, HVAC, electrical engineering, or I call it electrical engineering, but electricians, or what you can call a wireman. And because we got a lot of data centers going on in the country, and not just about data centers. So I just want people to understand this is not particularly about data centers. This is also about several other construction projects for infrastructure that's going on. Now, some of you guys may not have recognized for years that, a lot of infrastructure has not been worked on. Me being here in California, um, there was a time I lived in San Diego, and when I mean the roads was crappy, and San Diego was beautiful, people. It's so beautiful, but those roads sucked booty crack. Okay, and that's just looking at a city that, San Diego to me, as a California native, San Diego is more like a retirement LA. It's not LA, but it's somewhere I can see as retirement, or if you're in the military, you just come off there to one of the beautiful places in the world. But it's been, very crappy roads, just crappy, especially after the Chargers left. To me, it started looking desolate. Okay, it started looking very, very desolate out there. But you can go to the beach, I guess. You can go to SeaWorld, I guess, right? But there's a lot of infrastructure issues here in America alone. I know there's, I hope, I'm just going to say it, I hope that there's going to be an investigation into the rail line. But, that's something that should have brought employment to California in different cities, in fact, and brought a lot of skilled trades into that project based on the billions of dollars that that project received. So, because now the project says, hey, we need more money, we're in 2026, even though that project, again, some people are saying in the late 70s, maybe 80s, it was already announced. But I can understand that was a different time as well. But still, they had the thought process to do it. And then, as I grew up, I remember hearing it. I think in junior high, and that was probably around late '90s, um, that I was hearing about this, coming through. And then I remember throughout the years, hearing about farmers and the state, having issues. Farmers didn't want the rail lines to come through there, and when I think about it, I'm more like, well, probably because they're trying to give them pennies for the land that they want to use. For example, I even came across a new data center. I forgot where this is at, but they want to build a data center, but the property owners is selling the property. And I know a lot of American, or some Americans may not like this, because a lot of us, we think about morals and all that stuff. And I think the issues are just complex because America should have been building infrastructure. They should have been building these homes, right? And that was things that were being talked about for years. So if you have not been paying attention and you're disgruntled, me personally, I'm just not trying to hear you, because that's why you have to pay attention to what's going on. And then I know during Obama era, excuse me, you had Republicans and Democrats just always fighting like a couple in a home, where infrastructure was just crazy. So it's like, yo, are y'all gonna work on this infrastructure bill? I believe Democrats were trying to finally, again, this is not something that they were just trying to do. They were finally trying to do it, even though they were still voting to send money overseas to like Israel. Okay, even though they were still doing that. And I remember Chuck Schumer being so giddy when a bill was signed, and all he wanted out of it is for more money to be sent to Israel. Okay, so, and he rather that than work on the infrastructure here in America. And I even say the same. I'm not a Trump fan. I'm not anything like that. Again, I understand the idea of make America great again, but I'm not a part of that ideology that I feel that's outside of what it's supposed to be about, right? So I don't wear MAGA hats or anything like that, because I don't just assign myself to group labels, especially when I don't think the label is fitting the idea of what it's supposed to be. But even with Trump, enacting in this war, and me coming up understanding the 9/11 war, how that really took a lot out of America at that time. And that's why millennials are still having problems trying to get into the economic marketplace, to get into the race like we want to get into it, right? And I think politicians need to focus on that. And that's why I don't understand why they start focusing on immigrants when they should have focused on the millennial class, or generation. You should have said, man, we need to ease up. We need to build homes. We need to make sure these homes are affordable for them. I think there should have been a bailout for student loans, because, again, it's not about saying, "Oh, you guys get to get away with paying your loans," and all these other people that are just making stupid sense. But it is more about, yo, you guys realize tuition continued to rise. Regardless of what degree program you were in, tuition was rising, where they were extending the 4-year period to 5 or 6, because they didn't have teachers, or they didn't have certain classes available that semester. So if you don't really know, some people are just yapping and they ain't never been to school, so they don't even know how it works. They don't even know how college works, because they didn't even do good in basic school. And I'm going to point to that here, because um, when you're looking at something like this and you're looking at those programs, you may get some people coming out and they're going to say, oh, you can just get in the trades, and you can be a felon, you can have child support, which I don't, you should be wanting to get in to something. I don't even care if it's trades or not, but you need to take care of your kids. um, you can, even if you did this in school, or that in school, and we're talking about high school level. These are, because some of these trades do not require high degrees. The most high degrees that I see in trades are civil engineering, mechanical engineering, most top level engineering. But even then, not all jobs require it. It may be a preference, but it's not a requirement all the time, especially if you just know your shit, right? For those people who aren't caught up into certain lifestyles, that they got to go out all the time and be chasing women or chasing men, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're really focused because you're seeing things ahead, and you're looking to establish yourself for years down the line. A lot of you millennials got to understand, when you're around some older people who are respectable and who are doing their thing, um, they're planning for the years that they retire. That's why they put in so much work. So when I look at, the older generation, and you're looking at jobs, these skills are something that you can literally pass down. Like I said before, you can pass these down to your children, um, depending on the skill that you have. And some of the skills, like if you want to be an electrician, depending on if you want to go union or non-union, um, and hey, they may make some changes. They hopefully they don't, but I'm gonna just tell you, this is why it's important for parents to make sure their kids are passing their classes in school. Otherwise, they're just going to be rushed through school, and their brain is going to be bird boo boo. Then they're going to be online, having the audacity to talk about women. They're going to be online because they just finally decided to start reading the book, and now they want to jump in conversations that are way over their grade average, their GPA average, way over the moon. They'll try to, get in arguments all the time, with both men and women. You can tell some of the things they say, whether they're joking or not, it just doesn't make sense. And I'm not someone who's looking to put people down, but these are the type of people that put down people who discipline themselves, who had parents in the house who made sure they were disciplined. Um, People who said, I'm because of the era of the economy. Some people are talking about degrees and all that, but the time of the economy was for it, right? If they can't understand those economics because they're horrible, with money anyway, they're just yapping, just yap, 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 yap. I know some people who didn't finish school, and you're looking at these high skilled trades, because I think they're high skilled in my opinion. I think they are high skilled, but you're looking at them, and I'm like, man, all you had to do was get your high school diploma or your GED, and then you had to perform well in certain classes. So I mean, you should have taken high school seriously. And I do understand that peers, and that's what parents, I'm not a parent, but it's like, I don't need to be a parent to understand these things, but peer pressure is very important. Bullies, peer pressure, no matter what you teach at home, and you got people out here that think that they're so omnipresent, as a parent or as this idea of being a protector. They're so omnipresent, they're everywhere, that they don't understand your kids are being influenced by other kids as well, because if their parents aren't strict or aren't on them and they become friends or cool at school, your child is going to either pick up off of them or vice versa. So the energy level now comes into the play of who's going to be the leader in that group setting, right? So it's not to say that parents don't pay attention to their kids, and that's another thing. I know a lot of mothers who would say, I know you, what I'm saying? So they wasn't going to fight with teachers and stuff because they know their child, right? Some parents do. Even when you have children out there hurting people and gang members or serial killer mindsets, your mom, probably more than your dad, even though your dad should be knowing you because he should be around enough, you know, to know you. We're not talking about, and this is regardless if the mom's at home and dad's working, or they're both come home late at night because they're working. It doesn't matter, people. They both should be knowing the kid. So when it comes to school, and now you're looking at, again, a different economic era because now infrastructure is being focused on more, and you have states that really want to establish better infrastructure. Now you have BlackRock. Again, I brought up Lowe's. I would bet there's going to be more of these companies. I would say to you guys out there, make sure you're joining a union. Make sure if you join a non-union, you're just, uh, really investing your mindset, investing yourself into understanding if it's a scam or not. Because I predict there's going to be scammers, and some of these scammers are going to be foreign. You know, I'm just telling you what it is. As someone that came into cybersecurity space, they will try to tap into everything and bring it up as a scam. Some people could say it's a hustle, but I'm telling you, it's not. And um, you know, so you can protect yourself. Americans, we've been here, we've been in the skilled trades. Men and women have been in these areas for since forever. So I don't think much should change as far as who we know, how things work right now. But there will be things changing as far as more technology. I seen this robot um, in this warehouse. And again, Amazon already has these robotic warehouses, but they do have humans still in there. They have jobs for humans to work in there. So everything is not about removing your job. They may just remove some people out of certain positions because they're like, well, that robot is going to take care of that now, but we can put you over here now and pay you a little bit more, right? Sometimes there's jobs on the other side, and those robots still need to be worked on. So you should have mechanical technicians that know how to fix those robots, right? So many things you can do, the opportunities, people. But when you're looking at stuff like that, I've seen how it was to just recognize how to pick up certain tools and bring it to like this belt. I can only think that, hey, I'm telling you, I'm not saying skilled trades won't be tapped into in the next year or two, but in the next 5, maybe 10, again, how fast our minds are going to be building, it can come where, you're going to have it stuck. You already got 3D printing out here, so, I wish people would not try to reject everything and just try to understand some things, right? Some of you men just like being beat up and think that solidifies your manhood, and you got kids at home that want to, um, you know, have fun with dad, and whether if you have daughters, stiletto pump it, or if you have sons, they want to throw footballs or baseballs around, or want to work on whatever's at home. Like, you got to think about that when you're at work as well. It's not about beating yourself up all the time and just taking it and not and didn't want to complain when you get home. It's like, this is why we fought for labor laws to protect even your body, you know. So anyway, I'm going to read this article, and this is probably going to be the same article, but I'm just going to read a little bit of both articles just so we can get an idea of what BlackRock is doing. Um, and this is specifically from BlackRock. We're really at the source here. So this is saying that, let's just find somewhere in here because I don't want to read everything. This is going to be a short article. Okay, let's start right here. It says that as the country sees the need for historic investment in infrastructure, because this is just really the truth. I'm telling y'all for years, this has really been the truth. So it was going to come, right? Demand for workers in skilled trades such as electricians, HVAC technicians, plumbers, and iron workers continues to accelerate. Over the next decade, employment in U.S. infrastructure related skilled trades is projected to grow by more than 5%, outpacing the national average of 3%, representing hundreds of thousands of net new jobs. Matching the pace of demand for these skilled workers is essential to enabling the next phase of economic growth. Now, again, when I think about Make America Great Again, this is my mindset. Along, some of you guys don't want to see the tariffs that way, but there was only tariffs on mostly imports. There was no real tariffs on groceries. However, you know, vehicles, certain packaging, some of those things may have had tariffs, but if you weren't American seeing the opportunity in that, meaning, well, damn, I need to open up a processing plant or invest in one or buy one and get some people in there, train or invest in some type of robotic system to process, to design packaging, right? If that's all what it takes. And I was learning about these things in early 2013, 2012. So I already knew, but we allowed a lot of stuff to go overseas. And that's why it's hurting now for some Americans because some of us just don't want to see what's really happening and why we need that productivity back here. We're not saying all of it needs to be back here. We're saying parts of it we can do here if we are having job issues, if we're having infrastructure issues, supply chain demand issues. We shouldn't be waiting on people from around the world to do that. We're still willing to work with them. We're still willing to do business. But what we're saying is if you're going to import certain stuff that I believe we can do here, I'm going to put that import on you. But you have media, you have all these people talking about, oh, how bad it is and look what he's doing to the economy. Again, if you're not paying attention to detail, you will be manipulated by it. That's why, I'm not a Democrat nor a Republican, but I'm more of a independent conservative or just kind of independent. But depending on what the situation is, and if one side I feel is just too, just, just really retarded on it, I'm not gonna be for you because I feel you should still be held to the fire. Like that's just how I feel about it. But both sides can promote negative stuff in the media, but when you're not, you know, going out to actually look into the truth of the matter and read a lot, you won't understand or really listening. And we were taught these things in elementary listening skills, how to listen, how to use your ears to hear, even in your Bible, let them hear. Whoever have an ear, let them hear. So people are just at an ignorant state, a high ignorant state. If I'm just saying it's a high ignorant state, and I don't care about people talking about low IQ. Trust me, it's across the board. It's across the board. Nobody's safe from seeing or hearing or coming across some ignorant person. Nobody is safe. Um, So it says, representing hundreds of thousands of new jobs. Okay, so we read that. So this says, throughout our history, tradespeople have built our country, and this is just the facts. Even if we speak about, slavery at that time, those slaves were literally still doing trades work, building up infrastructure, houses, trains, along with others. But I'm just saying, even though the labor was labeled different, it was forced labor. This is what really was happening in America. Even when the immigrants from Europe were coming in, and again, that was just a specific time. It's not a all immigrants built up America. It's really a whole context and arc that's happening for America. But this is just really the truth here, right? This is how we got the beautiful infrastructure we had before it stopped, and now we're back at it again, right? And it's very important, very, very important. So Larry Fink, the chairman of CEOs, said that. He says America needs an estimated 10 trillion in infrastructure investment by 2033. So this is just 100 million from him. You got 350 million total when you're adding Lowe's. But then again, you have to say the government, more than likely, the federal government is going to get involved. States are going to get involved. If states like these blue states that I talked about that are taxing everybody, I'm hoping that that tax money is going to be affording these type of programs. So if you're hearing Hochul and Newsom and in Washington State, and they're talking about, oh, well, we're taxing these people so they can provide for our social programs. I hope these are the programs you're talking about. You know, um, what social programs are you talking about? Because these must be the programs you want that money to go to, right? I'm just saying. To modernize aging systems and build new energy, digital and AI infrastructure. So again, regardless of how average person believes about AI, AI isn't just content online. That's just not what it's about. Again, if you're not someone who's an avid reader and really invested into seeing what it's about, AI has definitely helped with detecting cancer cells in people. It's helping for medical industries. Again, it had a lot of things wrong in the beginning, but it's about making it better and better because AI isn't a magic genie that some people think it's supposed to be. So I don't really care about people, yapping about AI when they don't really know anything about it, obviously. So capital alone is not enough. People are central to building our nation's future. By bringing policymakers, corporate leaders, and labor champions together, we're helping ensure this growth delivers shared prosperity and greater economic mobility for Americans. So this is very important. Even on, if you're going to union and non-union jobs, what I like seeing is that you have to speak English. This may hurt a lot of you that want to talk shit, but it's important, and I think it should drive home the point. Um, there was no reason for Title IX or Title, I think, 5, excuse me, um, to allow DMV drivers' manuals to be written in other languages when our signs are mostly written in English. It's just what it is. It just is what it is. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, but I'm just saying. In the first phase, BlackRock's Future Builders Initiative will deploy 100 million in grant capital to nonprofit and workforce development partners across multiple states over the next 5 years, reaching 50,000 workers. BlackRock will work alongside federal, state, and local governments, labor organizations, companies, and nonprofits to strengthen effective skilled trades programs and deliver these opportunities at scale. The initiative will take a comprehensive approach, supporting pre-apprenticeship access, training completion, and licensure, while embedding financial education and digital savings tools to help workers build durable economic security from their first paycheck through retirement. Oh, that's beautiful. That is beautiful. That is so, so beautiful. Like, oh man, what I would think too, again, I think they need to put programs back in public school systems, that will allow children to tap into these different areas: civil engineering, healthcare, um, mechanical, electrical. I think those things should be in schools, high school level, maybe even junior high again. Um, and I think that's very important that if you're going to invest, that you need to invest really early on, to get some of these young men and women minds right. And you can still have these type of classes, also a part of the curriculum. It should be required classes, in my opinion. So that's something that I think is a real gap and an opportunity for us to resolve as a nation. So building the infrastructure to secure America's continued leadership in AI is creating thousands of high-skilled trade jobs. We applaud BlackRock's Future Builders Initiative and their commitment to expand economic opportunity for more Americans, said Ruth Porat, President and Chief Investment Officer of Alphabet and Google. Google is proud to have pioneered an electrical worker training program that is creating high paying careers across America. Only through collective investment, each program building and expanding upon the other, can the public and private sectors ensure all Americans have an opportunity to benefit from AI's upside. So we found out through this article that Google, I've worked for them through a third party, but Google is more open to investing into different types of things. Like they really are. It may not be forever, but they really are always open to do stuff like that. So they will get the investment money for a specific program or initiative or launch within Google, and support it. Remember when they were trying to do insurance? I don't know if anyone remember. That was going to be something people invested in to do with Google. So this is good to see that you have different people, and like I said, more people are going to have to invest. Even all right, so let's go to down here. It says BlackRock's Future Builders Initiative reflects a clear understanding that meeting America's infrastructure demands requires both capital and people. This is at the heart of IBEW and NECA's jointly administered apprenticeship program, which delivers rigorous, safety driven, skills based training that creates pathways into the middle class, strengthens workforce capacity to build and sustain the energy, digital, and AI infrastructure powering economic growth, and expands opportunity while supporting long-term financial security for working families, said Kenneth Hooper, International President of IBEW, and David Long, CEO of NECA. The initiative builds on BlackRock's broader philanthropic efforts to strengthen financial security for more Americans, including its emergency savings initiative, which has helped people build a total of $2 billion in new liquid savings since 2019. Since 2020, BlackRock's philanthropic spend, excuse me, guys, including through the BlackRock Foundation, has totaled 354 million. Grants have supported over 250,000 people across the US, UK, and EU through education and workforce training programs, including recent skilled trade programs in Arkansas, Georgia, and Tennessee. Definitely areas that it would be needed in. The Future Builders Initiative will be a key focus today at BlackRock's U.S. Infrastructure Summit in Washington, D.C. The event convenes elected officials, corporate executives, labor leaders, asset owners, and infrastructure experts to discuss how the U.S. can accelerate the delivery of new and upgraded infrastructure crucial to the country's long-term economic growth. So we see it happening here, guys. It's a month in. It's a month in. Okay. So, um, I just had some thoughts that I think I spoke about this before, but my dad is a self-taught man. He was around different people. Don't get me wrong. Just getting out there and learning because he come from a different era. When a lot of these skilled trades were something young men would get into. Women who had men who were either not no longer there because he wanted to start another family. He was in the war, or whatever the case may be. It was something that she went into to help continue to take care of her family because, quite as kept, a lot of women didn't want to be on welfare. They didn't want to depend on that stuff because they knew it wasn't going to feed their kids. And, a woman who really loves her children, she's going to do whatever she needs to do to make it happen for her kids. So, going into skilled trades was something that, she took on, and she can still pass this down to her children if they see this as a career that she can go into, right? So, when I talk about my dad and what I've seen him do around the house, we've extended our house, and he's a one man team. You know what I'm saying? So I've seen the drywall, I've seen the sheetrock, I've seen him set up, electric lights, wiring the electric up, and it's still up today. You know what I'm saying? Right now, I think he's working on, sealing up a window that was for our den room that we had. Well, it's still his house, still his house, but I'm just saying it was a den window, so he's sealing that up now as well. Extending his fence. He's going to be making changes. He knows how to do the roof. He knows how to do a lot of things. And I was just one of the children who paid attention. Working on cars and understanding what's going on with the car. By just listening to it. So I told my mom the other day, I was like, I don't see my dad. He wasn't a great husband, and to her, again, I don't take away from my mom's experience, but I'm a daughter looking at it from the outside, and I wouldn't want a husband who is working so much so that he couldn't take a break and take me out, or we go on dates and stuff like that. And it's not we going on dates every week or anything like that. But if you don't have time for your wife, that's why your situations in your home be getting out of whack, because you can't just marry a woman because you're trying to appease other men. You can't be giving a damn about that, right? When you come around other men, it's about their family, not people, promoting it online. It's literally like, no, I'm really about my family, more than anything. I've come across men who are like, man, I stopped talking to best friends. I stopped talking to certain other people or hanging around other people because these dudes just wanted to cheat, or they talk crazy about their wives. And he's like, I don't have that issue with my wife. And that's true. When you don't have those issues, I can't be around you motor mouths. Why did you marry that woman? Why are you talking about that woman like she Obama? Because she told you to take out the trash. Because she told you she just wants to go on a date. Because she knows something's going on, and you're not showing love or affection to her, and she's not some robot. She's not a sex doll, right? That you can just yap to and it doesn't say anything back, you know? So you have men out here, and I'll speak to you ladies, um, I never was interested in rapper dudes like that. Like, a dude be talking, some dudes be coming at you like, oh, I'm rapping and I'm a rapper. Like, that's nice. I've even, I got some flows, y'all. I do. I used to write a lot when I was young, even songs, but that's a different phase of my life. But I was never interested in being with a dude who raps because I don't see you have a skill to me. You know what I'm saying? Again, this is just someone who was raised with a father who have many different types of skills that pass down to his children if we paid attention. You know what I'm saying? But um, looking at this, this is the reason why, ladies, you want to be with a man who has some skills, who has something. Just give me a moment. Who has something to contribute to the household. You don't want men just yapping about what you bring to the table. They should be doing something, right? And it's not like you as a woman that can't, but when you're looking, especially, and again, we're just focused on skilled trades right now, but you have men and women who really appreciate each other, and a woman and women who really, they understand what it is. Because again, this has been for a long time in America. Skilled trades aren't new. I think it's just, again, the popularization of it, because now it's a new initiative that's happening. We as America are looking to extend our infrastructure. Now, this could have happened during Obama's era, definitely during Biden, Trump's first term, and I think it could have possibly been things talked about. Like I said, the Democrats, I do recall that they did try to, now, decades so later, want to talk about infrastructure. But this is very important, to understand. Don't allow um, yourself to be sidetracked by podcast men who are just sitting down all day yapping, versus having men who are literally out there who don't have time to do that all day. Now, when you see some of their videos on social media and stuff, but you see them out there working, right? You see them out there, and as far as what we can tell, right, they're out there showing you their work. Because even in my field in information technology, if you're looking for a job, we call it learning in public, right? So it's the learning in public idea. But you have some men in our community, and I'm just going to speak for Black women, who think throwing up a podcast is the way. Like, it's just the next hustle. Rapping was the hustle. Now this is the next hustle. And some of those guys, they didn't do well enough in high school and junior high. So some of these careers is going to be harder to get into because you have to have passed algebra, for example. You have to think in a certain way, for example. So thinking that it's all a men, this, and it's like, no, even in these trades, you have to think a certain way, right? So, everyone who's in these trades, like it's awesome because you do have to know a few things. It's not saying that you got to know electrical work or, be a plumber or HVAC, but some of the tests and things that you'll be taking, you have to already know how these things, how to think, how to do fractions, for example, how to add, subtract, minus, multiply, right? And again, your transcript. Did you graduate high school? And if you didn't, did you complete your GED? It's important because you don't have to go for jobs under the radar or feel like you can't accomplish things. Sometimes it's just getting through it, and that's what I have to tell my brother. I was like, sometimes it's not about just the degree or certificate that people want to point to all the time. Sometimes it's just what you went through, the things you gained, and the outcome of it. If you're going to be a doctor and you're learning for 8 years in college, you're going through all these different classes, learning different medical terms, and actually starting to perform and going to do your, excuse me, I forgot the term, but it's actually where you get to go into a hospital and you start practicing a little bit. But you're going into all that stuff. And whether you get the degree at the end of the day or not, it's the fact that you went through all of that. So you gained a lot to help your mental in that space. I remember seeing a guy talk about just post on threads. Just because you have a degree doesn't mean you're smart. Well, what you posted obviously sounds like you don't even understand how degrees work, how people are specialists or experts in their field. What gynecologists have you seen just can be so smart about dental implants? You see where this line of thinking is just, it's slow. Yes, you are smart in the field that you went to school for, you got the degree for. Yes, you can also be smart because sometimes you take other courses. It's just about expanding your thought process, your mind, which makes you more intelligent or should make you more intelligent. I'm not saying you're 1,000% there, but you should be thinking a different way compared to someone who is so like, I'm not getting, like, because you don't want to go get it, dude. That's just what it is at the end of the day. So you feel people aren't smart, but you really didn't make sense because people are smart in the field, the major. That's why we call it majors and minors. Again, someone who doesn't even know how college works. You have a major and a minor. If I go to school for chemical engineering or civil engineering, I'm looking to get a degree in those fields and getting a job in those fields. So I would be smart, maybe in 5 to 10 years, would become a specialist or an expert in those areas because that's what I'm going to school for. But you have people like that all over the internet, all over trying to be in the upperclassmen level because they got pushed through their classes. Like they just got pushed through. That's just how I see it, right? No, unfortunately, their parents didn't give a damn. The school may have gave up to, didn't give a damn. He didn't give a damn. She didn't give a damn. So now you're out here just yapping online and believing you're making sense. And then it's the fact that people who think like you be clapping for you. You have this whole conversations of being street smart and all this other stuff. But it's like, I'm telling you guys, people up in an extra upper echelon, they don't give a damn about the streets. They'll pay somebody. They probably know about them streets. If they need to wreck your world, they're going to wreck your world in those streets. They don't care. You're running. You have to run and hide all the time, right? You have to, like, you still in a Coke is a win to you. A soda, a candy bar, some beef jerky out of a store. That's a win to somebody who have a street mentality, right? Someone who went to school is looking for that long term money because that they have the money to invest, right? They don't have to really steal like that. Now, do people do that? Hell yeah, they do, all the time. Again, you got people that's stealing millions and all that, but y'all, you gotta hide your faces sometimes, right? There's different type of levels of crime. Again, I'm not saying one is better than the other because I don't care for none of that shit. But I'm just saying, you have to look at these different levels of skills, and especially when we're talking about skilled trades, these are people um, who are really about their craft, and even other levels, you're about your craft. Now, why would an electrical worker, unless he went into any of this other stuff, he may have gotten some teachings or some trainings to understand a little section of plumbing, HVAC, ironwork, and certain construction, only because it relates back to his or her electrical expertise. So they would need to know a little bit. But this electrical worker would still depend on someone whose main objective, whose main expertise, specialization is plumbing. So again, when you're talking about degrees don't make you smart, this same person has to be talking about certificates as well, certifications, because it's the same thing. It's the same thing. So what is he saying? He's not even thinking well enough, and this is why you need to stay in school, because you would think, yeah, why would an electrical engineer or electrical worker be an expert in plumbing if they never did anything in plumbing? They would probably more than likely lean on that plumber if they needed to fix something around, the plumbing system, or the plumbing system has some type of electrical component to it or whatever. They would definitely lean on this person. Same for HVAC, ironwork, or any other thing. So they're a specialist in their zone because that's what an electrician focused on. So what is this fool talking about? Just yapping online, trying to put people down who put in the work that he can't do. So he has to put people down. And somebody made him feel he was smart. Somebody made him feel like he was on another level. And I think you need to stop that. Y'all really need to stop passing out cookies to people who are telling you, I want you back in this crab barrel with me. And that goes for you men. Stop letting these guys pull you back in that crab barrel when you put in the damn work. You shouldn't even want to talk to them. You shouldn't even want to talk. That's why some of y'all hate them older dudes that don't want to talk to some of you younger dudes. And I'm not talking about older dudes that ain't doing nothing. We're talking about dudes that are older and just like, man, we know you're a punk. We know you don't listen. We know you're not going to be on time. They already know these things about you. They already know. They're not looking to waste their time on young men and women too. But I'm just speaking in this term, young men who doesn't want to work or learn or see it as this is an actual apprenticeship. This is not coaching. This is an apprenticeship. This is someone who actually got the skill and say, yo, I'm going to help you to gain this skill so you can go on for it. It's man, it's a beautiful thing when you think about it. Man, if you really thought about the master, the sifu, and the apprentice, the student, if you really think about it, man, how beautiful this is to give you a way to fish for yourself, man. It's great. And then again, this is just what's happening in America, but it can happen anywhere in the world. These are skills you can go anywhere in the world, teach others, help with building their countries, community. That's why I'm like, I don't know why all immigrants come here when you could be picking off Americans to come and help with what y'all got going on and compete the best way. That's just my thoughts. That's why I'm like, I don't want everybody to be here in America and stuff like that. I just, that's just me. And it can be issues to other people, but if you're thinking how I'm thinking, like, you can pick off these people and bring them over there and say, hey, teach us plumbing, better ways to do plumbing, or a system that we can use, because we still don't have that over here. HVAC, ironwork, we still don't have that over here, right? So let's look at a section here. I think I'm going to read these three sections. It says expanding access to careers in the skilled trades. One of the most important aspects of workforce initiatives like Future Builders is the focus on expanding opportunity. Skilled trades careers provide family sustaining wages, industry leading training and safety standards, pension and healthcare benefits, career advancement opportunities, economic stability for families and communities. For many individuals, including veterans, young adults, career changers, and underrepresented communities, apprenticeship programs provide a direct pathway to a middle class career without requiring traditional 4 year college debt. Union apprenticeship programs also allow individuals to earn while they learn, gaining real world experience while receiving classroom instruction. Why this matters for the labor movement. For unions, training centers, and workforce organizations, investments like the Future Builders Initiative signal growing recognition of the value and importance of skilled trades workforce. One moment here, I'm going to sip some my drink here. As new infrastructure projects move forward across the United States, the demand for highly trained craft professionals will continue to grow. And again, I told you guys, these new infrastructure projects are not just data centers, okay? Um, you have healthcare construction going on, energy construction, school construction, other commercialized construction going on, homes being built. It's all about Republicans and Democrats working together for the betterment of America. And this is why, I'm saying the heat needs to come on Democrats, because while they want to feel moral about what they're doing, they're not. It's not a moral thing when it comes to the Americans and what we've been complaining about for years, and still have had the patience, even though they've been doing stuff right in our face. And now you got more people speaking out, and again, they wanna mishear things, and that's why I'm saying, you Democratic voters, you gotta pay attention. You got to pay attention. You're letting these people take what somebody says and totally misinterpret it, and put it out like, oh, so you're saying this and you're saying that. No, like, they've been screaming out illegal immigrants for I don't know how long, and y'all still interpret that as immigrants. If they're coming after those who had some violations, whether civil or criminal, whatever you believe, it's still an enforcement of the law. It's still an enforcement. So again, you cannot allow even our politicians that you voted for to misrepresent, to lie. And I'm just saying, I wasn't really into Black Lives Matter in the way that some Black people have been into Black Lives Matter. But what I'm telling you, especially if you guys have immigrant parents here, I'm telling you, the same media manipulation is happening. And if you're not paying attention, you're going to continue to fall into it. I don't care what these other people want to jump in and act like they're protecting you. What I'm telling you is the same thing happened during the whole Black Lives Matter movement. So it's the media who has a hand in that, and then you have Democrats who are saying the same thing. Some of this stuff y'all want to hate Trump. Again, I don't agree with everything he does, but I'm telling you, Republicans are not saying anything different than what Democrats did. Some of you are be like, well, this is not the way to do it, and blah, blah, blah. That's the thing. That's the issue, though, because the media has been promoting, saying fear and all this other stuff. It's not different. They're not doing anything different. Why are these protesters in the way? Why are they there causing confusion, causing fear, whistling, doing all this extra stuff. They're still doing the same thing they did during the Bush era, during the Obama era. They're still doing the same thing. They're coming into the neighborhoods and taking those people who have violated either civil or criminal federal laws. So it's not for you to decide or say that they belong here because they appear to, again, serial killers, some serial killers are known. Just go look the BTK killer. Okay, just look at how he was out in the world and how he appeared to people, even though he was committing heinous crimes, y'all. Y'all gotta think about that. I'm not saying these are serial killer level people, but it's the same manipulation that will happen. So you gotta be careful. I'm not saying you don't have to change parties. I'm just saying you gotta hold your party under fire for the things that they're doing to cause confusion. So let's get back to this. It says, expanding awareness of these career pathways is essential for ensuring that the next generation of workers understands the opportunities available in skilled trades. The role of education and workforce awareness. Organizations working across the labor ecosystem are helping raise awareness of these opportunities through education, mentorship, and outreach. This includes unions, apprenticeship training centers, workforce development organizations, and community partners who are committed to supporting the next generation of skilled workers. At the Union Labor Advisory Network, which is where I'm reading this article, our mission is to support, educate, and promote union labor and the communities union members serve. Through podcasts, educational media, digital storytelling, and partnerships with union organizations and workforce programs, the ULA network highlights the career pathways, training programs, and success stories that inspire individuals to pursue careers in the skilled trades. Investments like the Future Builders Initiative reinforce what the labor movement has long understood. Strong communities are built by skilled workers. And it's just the truth. It's just the truth. And this is not to deny. I'm not in denial. When I look at my community, if you're intelligent, if you actually care, if you actually can see it, you know this is true. This is just true. A lot of it seems what it seems in some of the communities that my particular nationality lives in, or I would say not just American nationality, but my culture, our subset of culture in under my nationality of an American, um, we are lacking that. It's due to your dad's leaving, your dad's making excuses, um, your dad's not committing to his family, your dad probably messing around with other people, or he's around other men that he shouldn't be around because they're influencing him to disrupt his family, to cheat on his wife, or whatever the case may be. This is his thought process because he can't stand as the man that he says he is, the husband, the father, and stick to it, commit to it, committing to a skill that he can be proud of, you as his wife can be proud of, his sons and daughters can be proud of, sticking to those things, getting the support from his family instead of looking to be supported by other men who want to disrupt your lifestyle because they're insecure. They think that you're not going to think like them anymore, and I know that's what's happening out there. And what I'm telling you, what some of us are telling you is, you gotta leave those. Those people are going to be fish food at some point. You see some of these older guys sitting out. You talk about the young cats. Have you seen them older men just sitting out there talking about nothing? Ain't got nothing to do, not building nothing. But you'll find other older men in our community building stuff, trying to build stuff, trying to be innovative. They just don't get promoted like that because we allow rappers to be promoted. And it could be the algorithm, but here's what I would say: unsubscribe, block, anything related. I haven't seen nothing from no uh, hip hop media. Anytime that shit comes down my timeline, and again, I know it's the algorithm trying to push it to me, but I block it. I remove it. I am uninterested. I don't want to see it. I really don't care about what's happening with celebrities and hip hop. I don't care about that stuff. It doesn't move me. It's not. It haven't put no money in my for my rent, my car. No, it haven't done anything of that stuff for me. So this is a great time to refocus yourself. Focus on today and say, I'm going to try something new. It's not going to be easy, but I'm going to go try it. So you look ahead. The launch of BlackRock's Future Builders Initiative is another signal that the investment is into infrastructure right now. Again, the infrastructure investment is the idea that it's not new. It's just the time for it, and it's coming under President Trump's administration. So even though people want to, yap and talk about stuff all day, if you're not paying attention to the movements that are happening, you're going to miss the train. You're going to miss it. These are skills to pick up that you can have forever. You can have forever. You don't have, again, you can go in other countries. You can teach your children forever. So thank you guys for coming to my channel again. I hope you guys like this session. And please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.